Hi guys, Anna Rover here, and I just woke up from a creepy, fun dream, and I wanted to share it with you guys. I really want to do more of these, like, dream story videos if I get, like, really cool dreams, because they're fun to make, and I really like talking about my dreams and stuff. But, you know, it's kind of weird to bring up dreams with, like, people you know, because then they're, like, gonna, like, try to psychoanalyze you or something. But anyway, so here's what I can remember from the dream. Like I said, I just woke up, so I want to get as much of it in here as much as I can remember. And if you guys want to, like, try to, you know, like, say, oh, this means this and this, please leave your thoughts down below in the comments. And yeah, and please excuse my shaky hand. Like, I didn't want to, like, take the time to set up a tripod and then lose the dream, you know. So here we go. So the dream in question, the earliest thing I can remember is me and my sister Melody in, like, this, like, apartment thing, and she was, like, there was, like, a bunch of these kids and some parents too, but she was, like, teaching them, like, sign language, but also some English too. Like, they were speaking Spanish and she was, like, talking English. She was teaching them English, but she was also, like, teaching them sign language too, which I thought was really interesting. So yeah, she was doing that, and then I was over, it was like an L-shaped room, and she was, like, over here, and I was, like, around the corner here doing something. I forget exactly what I was doing, but it was, like, with a notebook and stuff. Maybe I was doing, like, homework or something, which is weird because I'm out of school. Maybe we're, like, both in, maybe she was, like, there for, like, for that, and I was there for, like, college or something. I don't know. But yeah, and while I was doing that, the floor, like, next to me kind of, like, fell out and, like, sunk and fell, like, you know how in, like, cartoons, like, when there's a rickety drawbridge, it'll drop and then, like, just be, like, hanging there. That's what it was like. And that kind of tipped me off to, okay, this is not real life, this is a dream. I don't know if you could call it a full-fledged lucid dream because of that, but I just knew, you know, this isn't real, this is a dream. So let's see where this goes. But yeah, so, one thing that I really remember, about the dream is there were these two girls, and they walked past me after the class was done, and the one girl had, like, a Pinkie Pie backpack. It was, like, pink with, like, straps and then, like, an outline of Pinkie Pie. And she walked in front of me, and I wanted to tell her, you know, I like your backpack, but of course I don't speak Spanish. So I was going to turn to Melody to ask her, you know, how do I say I like your backpack in Espanol? And, before I could, the girl was out of the room and stuff, so I was like, okay, I'll just have to remember to tell her that next time. Okay, and then there was another girl, I guess her sister or something, that had a Twilight, backpack. Yeah. And that's all I really remember from that particular scene. So then the scene, like, cuts, you know, like in a movie, and we're in the same room but at a different angle, and I think it's, like, a different day because those people were there again, and we're hanging out, and all of a sudden, we hear, like, this noise. I forget what it was. It might have been someone screaming or something. So one of us goes to investigate, and there's, like, someone, like, lying on, I forget whether they were lying on the ground or they, like, actually witnessed what happened or something. But but all I know for sure is that someone had just died. And this is kind of where it gets into the cool creepy zone. It kind of goes like into almost like a episode of like Psych or Monk at this point. And it's like I'm like the detective. But anyway. So somebody was murdered. And everyone's like, wow, someone was murdered. And to me, as soon as I hear someone's murdered, the colors black, purple, and gray, and like stripes, like flash in my mind, you know? Like, you know how sometimes you just have like, I don't want to call it a random thought, but like sometimes I'll be thinking of like nothing and then all of a sudden something will pop into my head like out of nowhere. Now, I always say, like, I don't know why I thought of this, but blah 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 blah. But honestly, that most of the time isn't true when I say that. Most of the time I know full well why I say that. But I don't want to like lead them down this whole rabbit hole and then just forget what the end of the rabbit hole was. So I just say that so I can just like cut right to the chase. But anyway, I forgot where I was going with that. The irony. Oh yeah, so it was like all of a sudden just like someone had like almost, I've talked about like thought like text messages in my dreams before. It was almost like somebody typed a text message out to me and sent it to my brain where it was like stripes of black, white, did I say gray? It was gray, black, gray, and purple. And yeah, it was really interesting. And those colors automatically make me think of like the puppet. So that just cements the fact that I'm supposed to be the one that brings this person justice, you know? So yeah, so everybody's shooken up about this. And then there's like another scene change. And I'm talking to this lady that I go to church with. And she was like my teacher in co-op. She was like one of, I don't want to say this because it's kind of bad to have, it's seen as a bad thing to have favorites nowadays, but she was like one of my favorite teachers. So I told her about this thing that happened, you know, someone's murdered and these colors like in stripes like flashed to my brain, and she was like, she basically gave me the opposite example of if I were to ever tell someone this in real life. Like if I ever told someone that I thought that I had like details to solve a mystery, they would probably just like shake me off. Especially if I told them that it like flashed in my brain. She basically told me the opposite of what anyone. She was like, well, you know, you might just have like mental powers that like you haven't unlocked yet. And I know that sounds crazy, but yeah, that's what she said in the dream. So yeah, so she was like, there's this thing you can get. If you get it, it'll help you like unlock your mental like process or something, I don't know. But it'll help you like find more evidence that is like in your brain that you, from that person that died. And I was like, okay. Actually before she said this, I like looked down in my dream and I was wearing a shirt, like a black long sleeve sweatshirt with the colors that I thought of. So to me that was like a sign of, you have to do this to catch the killer, you know. So yeah, so we get this thing. It's like a flower pot with like a waxy like rubbery like cactus in it, and I guess it could like sense auras, or the spirit could like manipulate it or something. Like I know that like supposedly ghosts can like manipulate like electronics and stuff. Like if you watch like Ghost Hunters and stuff, like they'll talk about like how their camera will not focus in areas where there's like high paranormal activity, which clearly is there's no paranormal activity here right now because my camera is like super focusing on my face. Like the little square is like right over my face. Anyway, what was I gonna say? But anyway, I know that like ghosts can manipulate like electronics sometimes. So maybe that's what that was all about. Anyway, so we get this thing, and it starts glowing, and as it's glowing, I'm like talking to it almost like you would with. I hope I'm gonna say the right thing. But you know how people like have those little boxes that they use when they're ghost hunting that it like constantly is flipping through like radio stations, and the ghost will like manipulate the sound to like say something, you know. It was and you know how people will like ask questions to like encourage the ghost to talk. It was like that. I was like, tell us who killed you, you know. And the light like went really bright, and it almost like was a projection, and it like projected a face of like a overweight guy. And at this point, I thought I was still in the same room as before, but like as the projection came up, it turned into like this. It was like a barn, but it was like a tent too. Like the stuff that was in it was like stuff you would see in like a barn or a shed, but the way it was built, it was like panels of like burlap, which is really weird. And at this point, I don't think I was actually myself in the dream. Like sometimes I'll have dreams where I play characters, like almost like a play or a movie. At this point, I think I was actually the victim, because I'm like, I like see the killer. Like, I see the projection, it lowers, there's the killer. And I, like, run towards the walls because they're made of burlap. I'm thinking, okay, I could, like, knock one of these panels out and get out of here. But the killer, like, catches up with me, and then scene cut. And then it's almost like in a Nancy Drew game when you hit second chance, the scene starts over. But this time, I'm actually me. And my dad is there, which is really weird. So me and my dad, knowing we have limited time, we start writing down all the evidence that we've found about the killer through like different people and stuff, which I don't think I actually dreamt like finding the evidence or anything, but I do remember that my dad was like writing down different stuff like for evidence, and he wrote it on like a table, and he wrote it on like a piece of paper that we ended up taking with us when we ran away from the killer, as he got in. So we run. I press a button for an elevator, which is right across, and I was like, well, if this guy goes arson on us, we don't have, this guy's like right on our tail, screw the elevator. I start booking it towards the staircase, and I in my dream I have this like moment of which staircase is up and which staircase is down, because, you know, I'm like scared half to death. I can't think straight. Luckily, I find the staircase, and I just pray that my dad in my dream was like behind me. So anyway, I'm like going like faster than I've probably ever gone downstairs in real life. I'm like taking them like whole like 5 steps at a time, just like booking it. And yeah, a couple of the staircases were like upwards, if that's weird. They were almost like a drawbridge where you had to bring them down and then go around and then walk up them. It was really interesting. So a couple were like that. And then in the last few moments of my dream, I came to like the end of the staircase says and opened the door, and just so you know, I had the evidence, like the paper with the evidence, clenched in my hand the whole time. I felt like I said that really lazily. That's why I reset it, just so you know. So that's all I remember from that. And I think I woke up after that, yeah, and then I knew I wanted to share it with you guys, because there were so many details that I really thought were cool. So, yeah. So maybe we can make this a regular thing if I keep having, like, consistently creepy, cool dreams. And I will see you guys next time, and I'll try to get this up as soon as possible. Yeah. So I'll see you guys.